Hi, thank you so much for joining us today on Agile Nonprofits YouTube channel. I'm Megan Martin, Scrum Master of the Marketing and Training team, and I'm so excited to join you again today to show you how to build a simple and quick backlog in ClickUp. Let's get started. All right, so I went ahead and shared my screen so you can see the ClickUp board. So what you'll want to do is come down here on the left-hand side and click New Space. This is where you'll name your space where your team will be collaborating together. And clicking next, and here you'll customize what you would like the space to kind of look like color-wise. This part, I mean, it's totally up to you of how you want it to look. You can click one of these fun little doodads, avatars, or you can upload your own photo. Like you can see over on our left-hand side, our writing team has our logo as the icon. All right, so this is where you'll set up your statuses. ClickUp has a great way of already having a good eggshell already built into its database. However, I always like to do a custom because of how I kind of see what my Scrum board is going to look like. So I stay right here on custom where you can click the Kanban board, marketing, Scrum even. It has all of these statuses already built in. But I'm going to go ahead and click custom, and then it already has to do set in there. You can change what this says, but it does have to actually stay there as your main starting point. To do, doing, in review. And then down here for your completed status, you can either have a done status or a completed status. Completed statuses will actually, be completed, but they will go away from your board, where done statuses will actually stay there as if they're still active. I do like to stay with the closed status so it doesn't get too confusing. And then there is a small workaround where you can still see those completed statuses if you need to, but in your certain views, it will still show up. I am going to rename this though, because our team uses done. And we're going to get next. All right, so you're going to want to turn on the Sprint ClickUp app. And then, of course, depending on how you want to utilize ClickUp, there are different things that you can add in here. A lot of people like the time estimates, so team members can kind of see how long it's taking them on certain tasks, time tracking. You can have multiple assignees depending on how many people are in your team. Custom fields is one that I utilize quite often. And then, of course, so on and so forth. We don't use these, so I'm going to turn those off and click next. So here you're going to click or select which views that you and your team will utilize. The list view is a required view, so of course that will always pop up. And then you'll have your board view, which is going to be kind of like your Kanban setup, and then calendar view we always utilize just because it's a really easy snapshot if things have due dates. And then of course, depending on your team, there's multiple other views that you can utilize. All right, and that is pretty much what we have set up in settings, and you can always come back and change these if you find as you're working along that you want something a little different, or if you want to turn on one of those ClickUp apps, turn one off, change coloring depending on what you and your team kind of agree on. And we're going to go ahead and click this create space. All right, so then it will bring you to your list view. Now you'll want to before you dive in, which I do understand I get excited and want to just start adding all the things. But before you do that, you'll want to set up your sprints. That way, so when you are planning, you can make sure that the correct workloads and tasks and due dates are in the correct sprint, depending if you have 1, 2, 3, or 4 week sprints. So we're going to go ahead and click the plus button, and you're going to select new sprint folder. All right, and now here is where you're going to set up your sprint duration. So again, depending if you have a 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, or 4 week, which if you remember, you don't want anything longer than 4 weeks for your sprints. A little fun fact, here is where you're going to put that in. Our team uses 1 week. And you can select which start date. So we actually, our writing team starts on Wednesdays, where our marketing and training team, my team, starts on Mondays. And then, of course, your sprint estimations. You'll want to do points, depending if you do the Fibonacci or just any other way of your estimations, and then just slowly go through and make sure everything is going to be the way you want it set up. I typically don't change anything. Okay, so what I just did now is set up the sprint automation. So we can create sprints automatically if it sees that you're coming up on a couple sprints that are already getting low. So if you only create 1 sprint at a time, it'll automatically create your second sprint with the previous settings that you used for that 1 sprint. And then it'll automatically on Sundays go ahead and mark your sprint as done, even if there are some stuff that you're working on. And then that stuff that you're working on will move over to the next sprint. And we'll go ahead and save settings. And then it'll show you a little snapshot. So the first sprint that it is going to set up for you is going to be the next week. So the 17th is a Monday, and then the 23rd is a Sunday. So then you'll create how many sprints that you want. So since we're creating a backlog, you do want to create more than just 1 sprint, because we'll want to look through. I typically create at least a month, if not more. And that also depends on how many weeks are in your sprint. So since we're at 1 week for our sprints, 4 sprints obviously would be 1 month. So I can look at a month ahead of time. And then of course, more, I can backlog and plan out a little bit better. So we'll start at 4. So now over here on the left-hand side, you have your sprint folder that you just created, and you'll click that open and you'll see all 4 of your sprints. So these little arrows are going to show you which sprint is active. So right now, no sprint is active because we have it starting on next Monday. But when this sprint is active, it will turn blue. And then when it's completed, it will turn green. So what we can do is a couple different ways of looking at this. You can view the full folder view, and it'll show you each sprint coming up. So obviously 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is a good view for building out your backlog, just because you can add at a quick glance. So say at the end of the month or beginning of February, we are holding a gala. So we know that this has a due date of February, say 7th. So now we can build out our backlog from there. So the gala, what needs to happen in these upcoming sprints for this to be successful? Maybe you need to call our secure caterers. And then you can assign certain things. So of course, since it's the marketing training team, it's just me and Diane, but you'll see all of your members come up here, and then you can assign certain people to those tasks. And then I don't believe we turned on the sprint points, but in your ClickUp app, you'll want to turn on the sprint points, and that will show right here, and then you'll be able to click on how many points you and your team has estimated that to be. So in this sprint, we'll be securing caterers and building that out. The second sprint, maybe we are securing the silent auction items, and so on and so forth. Over in these, in the plus, you can add multiple different fields. So you can really customize this to be as easy as possible for you and your team to know what's coming up. So that's pretty much building a backlog. Up here, you'll have your different views of what's going on. So since we are in that folder view, it will show everything that's coming out for different sprints, and you'll be able to see which sprint it's in on the top here. And then when you click into each sprint, it'll just show what's in that sprint, of course. And again, with the different views, you can keep moving these over as you're working on them or your team is working on them. And then you'll be able to see in the calendar view what's coming up on which sprint if you're in that folder. And up here, you'll be able to see how many points are coming up. And that's building a backlog in ClickUp. It's pretty simple. We're always here to help. Please reach out for any questions. We do have the monthly free office hours that Diane and I are both always there and willing to help. If you have any questions about building your backlog, using a tool, getting started in Agile, our team is always here to help. Make sure you subscribe to our channel so you never miss any of our tips or tricks that we have rolling out all the time. Thanks for joining us today.